What's up, and welcome to Bill Crew. I'm Kobe, and today we're getting into something powerful. I've always been amazed at the discipline it takes to be a dancer, and those just starting out to those who truly mastered their craft. And today, we're talking with someone who's turned their passion into a part time career. My guest has wrapped up a 5 year tenure as an MBA dancer with the Chicago Luvabulls. She's a dynamic instructor moving effortlessly between hip hop and jazz, and most importantly, she is my sister. Savannah, welcome to Bill
Thank
Crew.
you. I'm so happy to be
I'm so
here.
happy that you're here. I was thinking of people who could be an early guest on the show, and your athleticism throughout your childhood, I've seen, since we were younger, has just been so impressive.
Oh yeah.
And
Thank
you've
you.
always loved dance. So I'm curious, when did you know that you wanted to take dance seriously?
Huh. Um, Let me think about this. I think when which is funny enough, I think when the show Dance Moms came out and I saw like the girls going to the competitions, how serious they were taking it. At the time, I was just taking like recreational dance classes, and so I begged my mom to let me do like competition, which is, if it's pretty pricey. Then from there, I was like, this is really like my passion. Like, I just knew like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I want to be a dancer. And I just knew that there were, certain different ways that could take place, but I didn't really know what that meant at the time. But I think around like maybe 10 to 12 years old is when I really was like, I want to be like more serious with this and not
Yeah.
be like just for fun.
You mentioned that dance is really expensive.
Yes.
And, I watched a lot as you and your mom really worked to get you scholarships. What were some of the challenges of trying to enter into the dance field?
Yeah. I think it was no secret to me my whole life that I wasn't like a rich kid and my family wasn't wealthy. Um and I had friends who like I'd go over for sleepovers and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you have a mansion and
Yeah.
you have guys have boats and all these things." And I knew like those were the early signs. I was like, "Okay, I'm different." Um but I went to my first convention. It was Tremaine Dance Convention, when I was probably maybe 12 years old, and I took a ballet class. I believe the instructor's name is Jeff. And he gave a little speech about how his family didn't have money to do competitions and um, what he did to afford competitions, and he told the story of how he went to his studio owner and asked if he was able to work at the studio in exchange for a discount on dance tuition. And so I kept that in the back of my mind for maybe like 6 months-ish, and then wrapping up that season, my mom was kinda like, "Okay, I hope you enjoyed this year, like,
Those-
well, we don't have it. We're not doing it again." And I was like, "Well,
yeah.
I have an idea." So I went to my studio owner and I also asked if I was able to do like some cleaning or work at the studio in any way, shape, or form in order to have some type of discount off of the tuition. And so that's kind of how I started doing that, which that brought challenges of its own, obviously, because I feel like my role was kind of like I would come to the studio and she was like, you can work here and take unlimited amount of classes, like, so the floor was like mine, like I was there every day, Monday through Friday, like as soon as I
Wow.
got off of school I would take any class that was available. I was in any routine that I could be in. And it did get to the point though where like if you're at the studio from 3:30 or 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and then everyone's going home but you're staying with your mom to clean studios, wipe down the mirrors, clean the windows, clean the bathrooms. It did get to the point where it was a little like I was a little embarrassed
Mm.
because I feel like while I was so thankful for the opportunity, I was still like 13 or 14 years old.
Mhm.
And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like I bet you they're like, why is she staying? Why is she cleaning?
Yeah.
But I didn't care honestly because I knew why. I'm like, I know why. I'm because we don't have it like that, and this is the only way I can be here. So
Yeah, but I'm curious, some people would have tapped out and they
yeah.
would have been like, this just isn't for me.
Hmm.
You chose to sacrifice a little bit of extra time so
Yeah.
that you would be able to do this. Why did you want it so bad?
Because it was my passion. I
Yeah.
think anyone can relate to that. Like when you have a passion, it's almost like you're obsessed. And I was obsessed with dancing.
Mm.
And I would do the classes on YouTube. I had the little dance DVDs of like back in the day, like you could buy the little mat and do the classes. Um, but I knew wanted more. I wanted more training. And
Mhm.
when I went on my first convention and competed for the first time, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this. And so to me, it was like, this is worth it. Like I'm
Mm.
able to, stay for an extra hour every night and maybe come in on a
Mhm.
Saturday or Sunday and do a deep clean of the studio. And if that means that I get to do what I want and live my dreams, then like absolutely it's worth it to me,
Yeah.
you know?
Did it teach you any lessons about discipline early on that you kind of apply into other
Yeah.
aspects of your life?
Yes. I think it taught me that nothing in life comes easy. Like nothing worth having comes easy.
Mhm.
And so I figured like, okay, even if this isn't what I want to be doing, even if this is a little embarrassing, even if this means I'm not getting home until 11 p.m. at night and have to get up for school at 6 o'clock in the morning, like I don't care. I get to dance and that makes me happy. But it also taught me that putting yourself out there and taking that risk um, make for a great reward. Because if I was too shy or too scared, or I didn't want to tuck my tail between my legs and go to my studio owner and ask for that question to see if I could work for the tuition, I would have never known. I would have just never gotten that opportunity. And then who knows what would have happened? I would have
Yeah.
not been able to compete that year. I probably would have had to drop down in classes because my mom couldn't afford it. And then what? I probably wouldn't see
Yes.
where I am today. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy that I put myself out there. Even as a kid, I didn't even tell my mom what I was doing. I didn't even tell her. I just went on my own to the studio owner. So yeah.
We grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but previously you had lived in Wapaka. You
Yeah.
were doing dance classes in Wapaka as well,
Yeah, I
right?
was.
Which is predominantly white.
Yeah.
And you were doing categories such as ballet,
Mhm.
which also skews pretty white. What was
Yeah.
it like being a mixed woman in these spaces early on for
So
you?
hard.
Yeah.
It is so funny because there is a picture of me with my class at the time. This
Mhm.
was like 2007, maybe 2006.
Mhm.
And I just remember feeling like I just felt so much bigger than everybody. And I felt like my hair was so much bigger than everybody. Like it was just big and curly.
Mhm.
Um, I felt like I'm not even trying to sound crazy, but I just
No.
feel like when you are Black, like you are born with rhythm. Maybe not everybody, but I do think like it's in the blood. And
Yes.
I feel like being in these classes with all of these little white girls, and I was obviously I'm mixed, so I'm half
Yes.
white and half Black, but I just remember feeling like very called out all the time because I got the
Mhm.
beat and I got the rhythm and I knew how to count music by eights and I was always obsessed with music. I also was taking hip hop classes, which, up there,
Yeah.
you're not hearing hip hop music, but our dad was
Yeah.
playing hip hop music every day,
Yes.
all day. So
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, it was definitely a little ostracizing um, and all the things. But I also will have to say, like, the dance classes were the least of my problems when it came to encountering like
Yeah.
racism and ostracization, you know what I'm trying to
Yes.
say. Ostracization.
Yes, there you go.
Right, there we go. It's hard.
We got there.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was the least of my concerns. Like it was
Yes.
really like at school, riding the school bus, like being with my
Mhm.
family and like being with my mom and our dad in public
Mhm.
settings is when I really felt the most like, oh, I'm different.
Yeah.
But being in the dance space, I think like honestly, like we're 6, we're 7, like, at that
Yeah.
age, it's like, and I hate to say this, but I have the privilege of
Mhm.
being white passing,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I say unfortunately because I know that, like, there's other little girls who are
Yeah.
African American or their skin is darker than the rest of their colleagues or
Mhm.
teammates, and they go to these settings, and it isn't so easy to blend in, and it isn't so easy to pass, and so I feel like I have that privilege of being able to say, well, I had light skin, I had curly hair, and maybe
Yeah.
I was a little bit taller than everybody else, and maybe I had more rhythm than everybody else, but, like,
Yeah.
it's like, that's nothing compared to the struggles that maybe I would have if my skin was a little bit darker.
There are definitely privileges that come with having lighter skin.
Yeah.
And there's also the other side of that conversation where I think a lot of mixed race people feel sometimes confusion
Yeah.
or maybe they just don't feel like they had a place. I'm curious, how was your experience being young and mixed race and kind of finding out where to place yourself between these two cultures of your identity?
It was very hard because I felt like was I was predominantly raised around my mom's family, so white people, and I felt like that wasn't an issue until we moved from Wapaka to Milwaukee, and then I was going to Milwaukee Public School, and I went from being the only mixed person to being the only white person in my
Okay.
school.
Yeah.
And that was a completely different experience for me because I
Mhm.
went from feeling like I'm too black to like I'm too white.
Yeah.
And not only was I too white looking, but Wapaka is a very rural
Yes.
area. So
Yeah.
I was like culture shocked by the city in general. So I
Yeah.
feel like that was like a very difficult moment for me. It literally felt as if I jumped in a pool of ice water. And I
Wow.
was like, "Oh my gosh, like what is happening with my identity here?"
Mhm.
And I actually felt so relieved to be able to be like, "No, I'm mixed. My dad's black. I promise I'm not just white." Which there's nothing wrong with being just white. But I just remember feeling like I was like, "I'm black, I promise." So I don't know, but you know what? Like
Yeah.
it taught me to love my curly hair. It taught me
Mhm.
to really like be proud of being black and be proud of being mixed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was I think like that at that age because I moved to Milwaukee when I was 8 years old. At that age, it was such a young age for me to have
Mhm.
such a grown realization that it
Mhm.
definitely matured me way beyond my years. I think, you know, yeah, it was a very like profound period of time for me.
Absolutely. And, we see dance can sometimes be a place where there's a lot of tension
Oh
between
yeah.
the two cultures,
Yeah.
but sometimes it can also be a bridge,
Yes.
especially, people getting introduced to categories like hip hop or
Oh, yeah.
jazz and
Yeah.
stuff. Did you feel like it was also a way for you to express maybe both cultures of your identity?
Absolutely. I feel like when I was, dancing, I really, like I feel like we were just all dancers, and wasn't thinking more like I'm, really embracing my African American culture, or I'm feeling really white today. It was like I was just like, I'm really just a dancer and I'm surrounded by other dancers. And I think as we got older and like the older you get in dance, the more like the people that are just doing it for fun kind of like fall off and like, just
Yeah.
maybe focus on other things, or maybe they're doing the rec program at their studio, but then you start to like divide yourself and say, no, I want to take this seriously. So now you're in competition teams. So now you're going to conventions and now you're attending auditions. Um, or maybe you're going to workshops. Maybe your mom is signing you up for like summer classes. And those were the spaces where I really found like I'm with like minded people where it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what we look like. It doesn't matter what our family life is. It doesn't matter how much money we have. We're all just here because we really love to dance. And
Yeah.
that's been a constant throughout my adult career as a professional dancer as well. Like, it's
That's
so
so cool.
refreshing to be and it was refreshing, I think, after I had that, like, culture shock moment for the first maybe year or 2, and then, like I told you, around, like, 10 to 12 years old is when I really wanted to start taking dance
Yeah.
seriously. I think finally when I was, like, maybe around 11, 12 is when I fully was like, "Okay, like, it feels so good." I don't even it doesn't I wasn't seeing people as like, "Oh, like, you're black too," or like, "Thank God I'm with another person that's mixed." It was more like, "Thank God I'm with people that love dance as much as me."
Yeah, absolutely. And you started dance at an early age. You still are doing dance today.
Yeah.
Our bodies change as
Oh,
we
yeah.
grow up. How was that in still trying to dance throughout all these different stages in your life?
I think that was really hard. I've struggled in the past.
Yeah,
And to be fully transparent, I feel like we could talk about it here.
absolutely. Yes.
I did struggle with an eating disorder for 2 years of my life. And I was in like an eating disorder, sort of in slash outpatient treatment for a few months. and that really affected my dance, not career because I was really young still. I think I really was like 13, 14. So, and then maybe 15 a little bit. Like, it didn't, like, I didn't have a career at the time, but it did affect my relationship with dance because you're in front of a mirror
Yes.
all night long, all day long. And like, I think I don't know what treatment plans are like now, but back then it was kind of like these specific rules, like, you're not supposed to be looking in the mirror. You're not supposed to be exercising if you're on some type of, depending on the plan, oops, sorry, depending on the treatment plan that you're on, you're not supposed to be doing X, Y, Z. So I think that was kind of like the when you say like, oh, this, to talk about the relationship with my body and my body changing, I think like when you're, the years of
Mhm.
12, 13, 14, 15 years old,
Mhm.
you're like literally going through puberty. So
Yeah.
like, hello, like what an
Yes.
awkward stage.
Yeah.
And I think as a dancer, I just wasn't ready for that. And I
Mhm.
think I mistook that as like what's going on in my body. Like
Mhm.
I want to control this. Like,
Mhm.
and so the way that I controlled that was like really restricting myself so that I would stay almost like prepubescent, which is weird now as an adult looking back. And it really makes me sad because looking back, I'm like, girl, body tea, it's gonna be okay. Like, I
Yes.
promise. But in the moment, and I see it, like, obviously, I've coached dance too. So I've
Yeah.
seen it in girls that I've coached all throughout like different ages. I see it as an NBA dancer
Mhm.
where, you know what I mean? You're even now, like my career at Luvabulls, I'm going from 21 to 26 years old. Even then, like my
Mhm.
body's changing and that's okay. Like, I'm not
Yes.
gonna look the same as I looked when I was 21 at 26. And maybe I'll look better. Maybe there's
Yes.
just changes. Like, it's okay. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
My body looks different every day.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
They change so frequently.
Yeah, 100%. It does like literally like you could wake up in the morning and look one way and by the time you go to sleep you could look another way. So like
Yes.
I've really healed my relationship with like how I perceive myself and I'm really like give myself a lot of grace and I know that like I think I'm entering another phase of not struggling, but just really remembering that like I no longer have to like plan my life around being performance ready or
Yeah.
putting on certain outfits. Like
Mhm.
I loved being an NBA dancer. I loved being a performer and I still love to dance and hopefully those
Mhm.
opportunities, performance opportunities will still come my way. But I think when you are, and I'm speaking for myself, not for anybody else, but when
Mhm.
you're working a job where you are a brand ambassador, it's athletic, you're expected to be a representation of what a beautiful woman and an athlete looks like,
Mhm.
and you're, dancing in front of, 10,000 people,
Yeah.
it can get the pressure can feel like a little much. And so I think I'm really trying to like remind myself, like, I'm
Yeah.
not on, I'm not clocked in. It's okay.
Yeah. To take people to when you started with the Lovables.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process, how you got introduced to the team and like what made you go for it?
Yeah. I've always been a fan of the Chicago Luvabulls. Always best NBA dance team in
Yes.
the nation. Sorry, not sorry. Um
Ooh.
No, but seriously, so I started my dance career. I was dancing for the Milwaukee Bucks at the time. They had a dance team. And that was such an amazing experience. I was only 18 years old when I was on that team. Then um, there was some time in between, COVID happened, and, actually, it was so interesting when I was dancing for the Bucks in 2018, 2019. We took a, like, I wanna say field trip, but it wasn't a field trip. It was we got invited to attend a Chicago Bulls game, and the Bulls were playing the Bucks, and we
Cool.
went, and we got to meet the Chicago Luvabulls and go in their locker room and kind of get a little tour and get a sense for how they do game day, and I was obsessed with them, and I was like, "Their outfits are so cute." I loved how they performed. I loved that they were, I mean, I just loved everything about it. And so I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, like, oh my gosh, I loved them. I loved that experience. I'd love to come back one day.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, COVID happened. And then I saw a post on Instagram that was like, the Chicago Luvabulls are having auditions, the Bulls opening up. And I was like, I'm going to go. And
Yeah.
I just went to take class. I didn't really go. Like, I wasn't sure if I had the confidence. I wasn't sure if I was ready to try out. I also had braces at the time. So I was like, I don't even know if this is like going to be for me. I had just signed a lease with my best friend in Milwaukee. So I was like, if I go
Mhm.
audition for this team and make this team, this is going to be crazy. Like, I'm going to be living in Milwaukee and have to drive to Chicago every
Yeah.
day. But
You
Audition
did it.
process was really crazy. I did not expect to make the team at all. I was literally just like, I was hopeful, obviously, and I was very positive and optimistic, but I also, it wasn't make or break for me. It was
Mhm.
just like, this is an amazing opportunity, regardless of if I make the team or not. The audition process and the audition processes every year have been so stimulating, and like, they really stimulate growth in every individual, whether you've been on the team for 1 year or
Mhm.
5 years. I think that every time we have an audition with the Lovables, it's like makes me a better dancer. So that's how I felt my first year as well. And then auditions went well. I ended up
Yeah.
making the team. I made some of the best friends that I still have to this day. And
Yes.
obviously I like I like it because I stayed for 5 years.
Yes.
And I would still do it if I mean like I would do it every year if I could.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just love
absolutely.
it.
What do you think it takes to be a lovable now that you had done it for 5 years? What
Oh
would you say
gosh.
to someone who's considering going for it? What do they need to have?
I think it's hard because I think that every person on the team is so unique that like I can't even characterize it into like a few qualities. I just think showing up, being yourself. I think at to any dancer that wants to go pro, I would suggest researching the team that you want to try out for and figuring out kind of what
Mhm.
their vibe is, what the aesthetic is, what the style is. I would really get familiar with the style. For example, Chicago Luvabulls, we dance in heels a lot, and our style ranges pretty wide. So we've done like Latin, we've done hip hop, we've done um, heels. Just I mean, we've even done. There's been some sprinkled of like not like lyrical, but like it just
Yes.
it's very broad. So I would
Yes.
just research, and I think that if you are like, especially with Chicago Levels, I can't speak for any other team, but like a big part of it is who you are as a person as well.
Mhm.
So you can trust that every girl that's on this team is a good person. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, reach out to the girls, send a
Yeah.
DM. Worst that could happen, they don't see it, they don't respond. Best that can happen, they respond, and you get direct one-on-one feedback from somebody that's been in that position that you're hoping to be in before. So that's what the advice I'd give.
Another aspect of being a dancer, just in general, is that it's very exhausting on the body.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I can only imagine being with the Lovables, where it's a pretty intense
It's
practice program, and then you're doing it in heels, and then you're doing it in front of such a large audience
mhm.
on top of other community events. What was it like, the toll on your body during this time of dance in your life?
Yeah. I think, I've been and you know this, and,
Mhm.
period, you are too, but we're both
Yes.
very, like, we like to be strong,
Yes.
and I think, like, part of growing out of that phase in my life where I was really focused on being the smallest and the most petite I could be, I think
Mhm.
I kind of really wanted to be like, it kind of transformed into me wanting to be, like, the strongest I could be and the healthiest I could be. And so, like, health and wellness and strength are very important to me, and I think that to every dancer, as every successful dancer, it's kind of the same. And so I feel like because of that background, like, I like, working out, I like making sure that I'm healthy, and that I mean, that makes a world's difference. I
Yeah.
think if you're not in a healthy space, mind space, and if you're not kind of doing the things, and not saying working out to be in shape, I'm saying strength training your muscles so that they can endure 4 hour practices or 8 to 10 hour game days where you are running around on your feet, dancing, all night long.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I focus on. And so I think, of course, as every athlete has, I've had my injuries, I've broken my toes, I've torn my meniscus, like I've done it
Man.
all. Yeah. But
Brutal.
those are pretty common
Yeah.
injuries to athletes and dancers. Like,
Yeah.
but I've healed from it. And I think
Mhm.
that also what makes the world's difference, like with the team, like I was just on Lovables, like we have great athletic trainers. We have great coaches who like support the healing process. I think that some dance jobs that you can have are kind of focused on like just put a band-aid on it and then we'll
Yeah.
deal with it later. But like I was sat out for months so that I could heal. And even when I was
Mm.
begging to come back because I just wanted to dance,
Yeah.
they're prioritizing my health over my surface level desire to just get back out and perform, which
Mhm.
I can appreciate now that I'm healed.
Absolutely. And when, you are feeling like this was a heavy work week,
Hmm.
it was a heavy dance week, how does Savannah execute a self-care day? What does she
Yes.
do?
Okay. My self-care day starts with the self-care night before.
Okay.
Okay. So, number one thing, you're hydrating. You're hydrating with electrolytes.
You are an electrolyte
I'm an
girly.
electrolyte girly. I body armor, vitamin water, element electrolytes, water, coconut water, lemon, lime. I do it all. Okay.
Yes.
I love water. And I love hydrating myself. That's like rule number one. Rule number two, icing right away after activity. So, like even if it doesn't feel inflamed, like knees, elbows, shoulders, backs, feet, anything that you're needing, ice is really important. I have an like a TENS unit, which is like the electronic stimulation. So I have the patches that you like go on my skin and then I can turn up the the electron
Oh,
stimulation
okay.
and it
Wow.
like buzzes.
She's not messing around.
I
This
don't play. I don't
is-
play. No, it's like I'll put those on my body. I'll like shock myself, get that stimulation in the muscles, get the muscles twitching. I have like heating pads that I alternate, red light therapy for inflammation. And those are things that I'm doing like almost immediately after, like, let's say you get home from practice at 10
Mhm.
o'clock, more like 11 o'clock. You get up right at 11 o'clock, like you're immediately chugging water, you're immediately icing, you're getting out your TENS unit, you're putting it on while you're icing. Um, you are maybe if you like, I think, especially if you're dealing with an injury, like follow the protocol that your doctors or trainers have given you. Like for me, it was like anti-inflammatories. So I was taking like ibuprofen, making sure I'm like not, like skimping on those things because, consistency is key.
Yeah.
So that, and then just not forcing myself, like, I think especially, like, feeling like I need to work out every day or I need to like, I can't
Mhm.
sit down, like, don't be
Yeah.
lazy, but it's like, no, if I have an off day, it's an off day, like,
Yes.
resting, relaxing,
Yeah.
that type of thing to preserve my energy and my body strength.
It is so cool to see you with your team of Lovables
Yeah.
and the friends that you've made on the team
Yeah.
who they really love you and you really love
I love
them.
them. Yeah, they're the best.
What was it like finding a group of sisterhood in a new city? Because you were new.
Yes. Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, tell us a little
I was
bit about
just
that.
telling someone, I forgot who I was telling, but I was just telling them, like, I don't know what I would do if I moved to Chicago and did it, was not a Chicago lovable. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how people, I mean, I was like, I don't know how people make friends
Yes.
when they don't, when they're not a professional dancer. Like, how do you meet friends? So, um, I'm so thankful to have had this team and to kind of be like, automatically, you're like coming here with like,
Mhm,
however many teammates, like 18, 19 teammates that are like your sisters and you're
mhm.
spending almost every day together. So it's like you guys
Yeah.
better learn to like each other because you
Ye-
have a long season. We do like 41 games in a whole
Yeah.
season. So it's like you're gonna see each other a lot.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, that's nice. And I do love those girls. They're some of the best girls. Even the girls that I haven't seen in 5 years. It's like we still, it's like I still know you guys. They still
For
know me. We
sure.
still follow each other and support each other.
Yeah.
And when I see them, it's always like, "Oh my God," we love each other.
Yes. I love that. There's always this conversation about the labor of women we're here in Dallas
Mhm.
and I think about like the Dallas cheerleaders
Yes.
and the Lovables too and I think of just the labor that goes into that is oftentimes downsized, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
And especially because I think that it centers a lot of the male sports
Mhm.
and activities.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about the conversations around, you know, women participating in cheerleading in their labor and it not being maybe as seen as, credible?
Yeah. I think that, like, especially nowadays, like, I do actually think that people recognize how hard it is.
Hmm.
Because I do think, like, even the people that I meet that don't have any clue about dance or what that looks like, I think, like, when I tell them, "Oh, yeah, I'm a Chicago Lovable or I'm a dancer," it's like, "Oh my gosh, like, that's hard work." You know what I mean? And they know
Yes.
that it's hard work.
Yes.
Um And I think there's, especially like with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders documentary America's Sweethearts on Netflix,
Mhm.
they did provide such a great light into the fact of like, no, we also have full-time jobs and probably another part-time job, and we're doing this at the same time.
Mhm.
So while it is like laborious to be an athlete or to pursue your dreams or to be a professional dancer, it's also exhausting, also having to have another full-time job and another
Yes.
part-time job, and that's
Mhm.
no one's, no one that I'm talking to's fault, it's
Mhm.
not any coach's fault, it's not any, like, none of that,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna point blame or anything like that, but that would be, like, I think it is, like, that's the part where I think people don't know, and
Mhm.
that's the recognition that goes that's the work that goes unrecognized.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like everyone knows it's hard work to be a professional dancer.
Mhm.
Everyone does. And I think we've had like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or
Yeah.
like Misty Copeland, who
Mhm.
it's like you see it. You know what I mean? They're branded on the fact that it's hard to be here.
Mhm.
And that is reflected in different teams and different areas of the same art form, the same sport of dance. But I think what's unrecognized is the work we do that has nothing to do with dance, but that we
Mhm.
have to do it just in order to pursue our dreams,
Yeah.
which is so sad because I always say if I could just be a dancer, I would.
Mm.
And I could. I could. People do it all the time, and that's hard work.
Yeah.
If you make dance your whole life and you're like teaching classes in the morning and then you're teaching classes in the evening and then you're a professional dancer
Yeah.
at night, it's like I mean, your body, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, so I'd say like that's where I think the progress can be made in the
Mhm.
industry and in the world is like recognizing that a lot of these women, these dancers, these athletes, they are also putting in work in other areas of their life too,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. The NBA is full of, from the outside, it looks like a lot of glitz and glamour, a lot of fun
Yeah.
being in that machine. 10,000 people come see you. It's
Yeah.
so exciting. All the press, the junket, and all of that.
Yeah.
What was it like being in that NBA machine?
I loved it, but that's just because that's who I am. I'm a glitzy, glammy,
You
sparkles,
like bring the
rhinestones,
cameras.
bring it on. Like, I'm that type of person. So I feel like that to me was like the best part. I just love it. I love all of it. I just love it.
Was it hard being in a space where there is so much fun, so much networking, um, so much of fame, people noticing you, but also still having to be very disciplined and showing up, or was that do you
Yeah, I think that I'm like, yes, I think that there's absolutely, but this is just life.
Yeah.
When you are like a young, beautiful woman, there will be plenty of opportunity. And it's gonna take a lot of discipline
Hmm.
and self-restraint,
Hmm.
to be able to say, "That sounds really fun. Oh my gosh, I wish I could," but probably not. I think especially in that world, um, like, what you do and who you do it with 99% of the time is not going to affect that person or that crowd or that space or
Yeah.
that decision. It's going to directly affect you. And I think that
Hmm.
as young women, we learn that really early
Hmm.
is that like take the risk for sure, have a little fun here and there, absolutely. But if something, isn't like obviously, like you said, there's a bunch of networking, there's a bunch of, you know, high profile people. There's events, there's fun, there's
Hmm.
glitz, there's glam, there's craziness that goes on, right? And like, of course, everyone's always like, oh, do you guys get to do this? Or do you guys get to go to this? Or do you guys get to talk to these people? And it's just like, you have to be smart because I think that,
Mhm.
unfortunately, we live in a world where like it's gonna like I would be the one to get in trouble, not
Mhm.
this person.
Mhm.
I would be the one to have consequences, not these group of people. And
Mhm.
so I think when you have something to lose, that's what you have to focus on. And of course, like I said, always have fun, enjoy life. You only live once, but make sure that you're not, nothing's at stake.
sometimes pretty can be a privilege,
Mhm.
sometimes it can be pressure.
Right.
Have you ever felt, you like all the time, have you ever felt like there's a moment where pretty was a disadvantage and not the advantage that everybody thinks that it is?
Definitely. I think obviously, especially like in that setting, like I think beauty is super subjective. So like I could say I think I'm pretty,
Mhm,
but maybe I'm not this, maybe this person doesn't think so, or maybe that person thinks, I'm not that person's type or whatever.
mhm,
But I think in a setting where like your job is to be beautiful and your job is to be like, you know, you're on, I think then, of course, it's like, well, you are just a pretty girl, or you are just here for my entertainment, or you're just here
mhm,
to look pretty for me. When
mm.
it's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, yeah. You're like,
You
I have
know,
my own thoughts and
yes,
ideas and
exactly.
aspirations.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think when people see a pretty face, it's easy for them to think that that's all that goes on and that
Hmm.
there's nothing deep behind the surface or that there's no brains to the beauty or that there's no value to this person. I think I ran into that especially in my relationship in the beginning of my relationship because I think a lot of people saw me and they saw my partner and they were like, "Oh, you know, like you're only, wow, you have a hot girlfriend or you're only here for XYZ reasons." But
Hmm.
it's like, no, I'm actually a very smart young woman.
Yeah.
And what regardless of what I looked like I have a good heart, a good character, a good head on my shoulders. I was raised very well, and I
Yes.
think like that's something that I know, and I think at 26, I'm past the point of trying to tell people that. It's like if you whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I'm curious also, did dance make you feel more connected to your body or more critical of it?
Both. Definitely
Okay.
both, for sure. I think especially like like, I don't know if everybody gets this, but like when you're on an NBA dance team, you get pictures taken of you while you dance.
Hmm.
And like obviously not every photo is going to be the most flattering. So
Yeah.
I think those are the moments when you can be the most critical. But I love my coach because she even said it like every year. She says the same thing in the beginning. Like she's like, remember, you're gonna see pictures of yourself and you're gonna be like, I look like that, and no, you don't look like that. It's just one moment where your
Yeah.
body is bent over one way and you might get one angle that no one else gets, but like
Yeah.
the camera that's like pointing down up at you. So whatever. I feel like yeah, but also like most importantly it's made me feel more connected with my body. And
Mm,
I love like I feel very like one with my mind and body and spirit
I
when I
love
dance.
that. That's so amazing. Now that you have finished up with the Lovables,
Yeah.
how are you looking to integrate dance in your life
I
now?
don't know. I'm a performer, right? But I also
Yes.
love coaching. So
Yes.
I think what I'm going to start by doing just this summer is taking class.
Hmm.
I love taking dance classes, and I think when we're so busy in the season, it's really hard to get into dance class. So I'm just going to take some dance classes, and probably see about like popping into some studios, teaching a little bit, doing whatever. Like I love working with kids. I love working with younger dancers. I love creating a safe space for them to dance and to learn. And so that, and then we'll see what the future holds. I think also like I'm super which I can say now. It sounds crazy saying because it feels like I'm still new to Chicago, but I'm super connected in Chicago in the dance world and in that world. So I think like opportunities are always being brought to me. Like
Hmm.
we're doing this showcase, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, or there's a commercial. Are you interested in submitting yourself for this commercial and see if you want to dance in it?
Yeah.
Um, and I think like luckily when you're like when you are goes back to kind of what we were talking about before, when you are actually a good person and not just someone that's like a pretty face, but the inside doesn't match the outside,
Yeah.
it's hard to get those opportunities. But because I think and I pride myself on being just like a good human being,
Hmm.
that I think like hopefully other people see that, and that's why I'm still able to get opportunities when they arise. And so I hope that even though I'm no longer dancing for the Bulls, that I'm still considered for certain things that pop up here and there.
Yeah. Moving away a little bit from
Hmm.
dance to what you've kind of been doing in your day job and your
Yeah.
professional career,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about your work?
So, my day job is the Chicago Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
Period.
Yes, a corporate baddie. And so I work a typical 9 to 5.
Mhm.
I actually just got a new job, so and I don't really know what that's gonna look like, so pending, but, for the last 3 years, I was with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office in the Domestic Violence Division, and that work was so fulfilling. I did not know what I was
Mhm.
walking into. I started as just a receptionist. I needed a day job that had insurance. They were
Yeah.
like, "We're hiring." I'm like, "Here I come." And just sitting at the desk and getting trained and immersed in that world was so eye-opening because, I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Chicago is such a crazy city, and, um, I did not realize, like, how big domestic violence was, unfortunately, in that city,
Mhm.
and, I mean, like, I was doing everything from working the front desk to the people that had criminal cases, the people that whose cases were, like, on felony review, so some really intense stuff. I was reading through police reports, I was reading through arrest reports, I was, casually walking by attorneys' offices and seeing police body-worn camera footage being played on their computers.
Mhm.
I was working downstairs in our screening department, and I was, you know, literally screening victims coming in saying, like, "This happened to me last night. I want to file criminal charges." And I was helping them through that process. I was helping women receive protective orders and protecting their children on the orders, their family members, um, victims that were coming back 2, 3, 4, 5 times with the same person over the years. Um, and yeah, it was really eye-opening, but really valuable work, and I think, like, it made
Mhm.
me feel very fulfilled, and I was really happy about that because I think, like, when my passion is dance, you always think, like, "What's gonna fulfill me?"
Yeah.
But work that you can actually do that gives back to the community, I mean, like, it doesn't get more real than
It's
that.
priceless.
Mhm.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where, sometimes just because the nature of the work is a lot, um, were there times where like you have to decompress when you
Oh,
come
yeah.
home or
Oh,
like
yeah.
just turn it off?
Yeah, so actually funny enough, during the season, I would sit in my car and do like a 10-minute meditation video like on YouTube
Wow.
before practice because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just had 8 hours of super intense, super violent,
Mhm.
like negative situations happening around me and like now I'm going to go do a 4-hour practice and have to like kind of put on my game face." So
Yeah.
I'm like, "Let me like completely try to reset my brain."
Mhm.
Um or just like luckily like I've lived alone. So like it's not like I had to come home to roommates or to someone and have to talk and entertain people. Um and I don't have any pets, which I love animals, but, like, it's easy to
Yes.
decompress when you're coming home as a single
Yes.
person, you don't have anyone else to tend to or take care of.
Totally.
So,
Yes.
luckily, I think that was that era for me, and, like, that's how I was able to decompress.
Yeah. And, another way you can decompress now is with your boyfriend who
Yes!
you love so
My
much.
man.
What's it like to have found new love recently?
So good. So good. I love my man, he's the best. And I think, like, in a world where, like, straight men are kind of like
Crazy?
yeah, like, it's really rare to find a good one. So the fact that I did, I'm just like, I don't know how.
Yes.
I literally
Yeah.
said to a meme the other day, and it's like when people ask how we met, and I don't even know. I think he just fell from heaven. I'm like, lucky for me because, yeah, he's great, and he's been a great partner and super supportive through all the different things that I'm doing, so
Has it been hard to move from being extremely independent? I
mhm.
mean, you were really kind of handling your own in Chicago to
Yeah.
kind of like working with a partner now, or have you welcomed it, or how has that transition been like for
It
you?
was healing for me because
Mhm.
I was in a previous relationship
Mhm.
that was did not serve me at all.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to be a good partner. Like I wanted to have someone. Like I think like I even though I'm super independent, like I'm a lovey-dovey person. I have so much love to give and I wanted to share that with someone. So I think when I met Kevin, it didn't feel like I had to adjust. It felt like finally, like I met someone that I'm able to give all this love to and that they're reciprocating it and that it doesn't feel like too much or not enough or it's like we just fit together so well. It's like
Yeah.
so weird. But I
Mhm.
will say this. I think it's a little different because he was in Milwaukee and I was in Chicago. So
Yeah.
we were kind of a medium distance couple. So it's not like we saw each other throughout the week. We were just seeing each other like on the weekends. Um And that kind of created a nice balance, I think, because
Mhm.
then you add the element of like we missed each other by the time we got to see each other.
Yeah.
So I think that positively affected our relationship.
Yeah, and on a little heavier note,
Mhm.
your grandmother Callista recently passed away.
Yeah.
What are some life lessons that you took from her? And I know she was your biggest supporter, but I really want to know, what does she think of your dancing
Yeah.
endeavors?
She loved my dancing.
Yeah.
She loved it. I would send her all the videos and all of the pictures and all of the everything. I mean, she was my biggest supporter. And even when I was younger, like even when I was younger in Wapaka taking my little dance class, my mom couldn't afford it. My grandparents were like, "Here's the check." I just
Oh,
think my grandma was like my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. She just taught me like, if I'm happy, keep doing it. Like if I love it, keep doing it. She when I told her, like, I was wrapping up my last season, she was like, "Why? Oh my gosh." And, it is so funny because I was like, I think I got all I'm gonna get." Like, it's been 5 years of on Lovables, like,
yeah.
I'm super fulfilled, I feel very happy, I feel like I had an amazing dance career, I think I'm, like, ready to kind of, I don't know, step away and figure out what's next for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I just told her like the one thing that I wanted to do was like either go to All Star or take an international trip. Because that's what they used to do a lot more before COVID.
Hmm.
And Lovables hadn't traveled in like 8 to 10 years. So I was like, I know that's not gonna happen. So I think I'm just ready. And she passed away, and I'm not kidding. She passed away on a Sunday night. On Tuesday, my coach called me and invited me to go to China with the girls.
That
And
was
I just
Callista.
knew, I knew. I was like, it has to be a sign. Even if you're not a woo-woo kind of person, I
Yeah.
am. But even if you're not, I mean,
Hmm.
what like the last conversation I was having with her was about how I'm wrapping up my dance career, and she was asking me why, and I'm telling her it's because I, felt fulfilled, and that the only thing I wish we could have done is take a trip. And then she passes away, and 2 days later,
You
it's
got the
I get
check.
a trip.
Yeah.
It's so like, I'm sorry, you just can't.
Yeah, a blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, you're wrapping up dancing
Mhm.
with the MBA. You just got a promotion
Yeah.
in your day job. You're starting kind of a new
Oh,
relationship.
yeah.
How long have you and Kevin been together? A year?
A
2 years? No?
no, not even.
Okay, yeah.
In September, we'll have known each other for 2 years, but we didn't start, like, dating in a relationship until, like, December.
Okay.
So it's been about, a year and, like, a
You
half-ish.
guys are so good together. I thought you
I
guys have
know.
been together forever.
I know. I know. I think we were, we're meant to be.
Yes. I'm curious, what are you building next in your life? And that could be in any aspect.
Yeah. Actually today I was researching. I just have this like really strong pull to do like I want to teach, dance. I think that there's a part of me that like I was explaining in the beginning how we couldn't afford dance, and I had to kind of go out of my way and ask the studio owner, who was gracious enough to let me clean the studio and have, discounted tuition and all the things. But I think if there's one thing working in what my job, the state's attorney's office in domestic violence, has taught me, is how many children don't even have access to like go to a dance studio. Like don't have transportation to get them to the dance studio. And even if they did, like they don't have transportation to pick them up. They don't have the money for even the discounted tuition. They don't, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a privilege to be able to dance. And so something that it's been pulling at my heart has been like, how can I provide a dance education or a dance, it doesn't even need to be a serious education. How can I provide the joy of dancing to young dancers that want to just get up and move their body and feel connected with
Hmm.
their bodies for way cheaper and way easier? How can I give them an experience kind of like kicking it back to COVID, like when everything was online? Like how can I
Yeah.
like how can I do that? So I think
Hmm.
that's what my next project is going to be, is like how can I give back to the community, because I love to do that. How can I touch the group of, young dancers that I once was a part of, where I wanted to dance so bad, I wanted to perform and do something so much, but I didn't have the money for it. And how can I touch people that aren't just in Chicago, but all over the world, all over the,
Hmm.
I know it sounds crazy, but I think
No.
big. Like
Yes.
how can I do that? So
And
I think
dance can travel all over the world.
100%. And if there's one thing that's universal, it's music. Like,
Hmm.
even if it's not music in the, you can go to anywhere and the music's not going to be in your language, but you're going to vibe with it. Like,
Yeah,
everyone likes
absolutely.
music. music. If you don't like music, you're weird,
You're
but
definitely
you're
weird.
strange, yeah. But if you, I feel like everyone likes music and everyone, like, and I think parents are always looking for something healthy for their kids to do.
Mhm,
I think there's no denying that internet and technology is taking over.
mhm.
I think, like, obviously parents can limit screen time and all the things, but like, what if it's screen time that's beneficial for your child? What if it's screen time that's healthy? What if it's something you can put on your TV for 30, 40 minutes or an hour,
Mm,
cook your dinner, do your laundry, XYZ, while still monitoring your child? You know it's going to be safe. You know it's a productive activity. It's getting them up, it's getting them moving.
mhm.
And it doesn't cost literally an eighth, a tenth, a 16th as much as it would to
Yeah,
join a dance studio if you
yeah.
don't even have access to that. So that's kind of what my next project is going to be. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited
Stay
for it
tuned.
too, Savannah. You're gonna kill it like everything else in your life.
Yeah, I hope so.
Before I let you go, I want to know, what would you say to young dancers who are just kind of starting
Yeah,
this passion endeavor,
yeah.
to people who really want to take it serious, who are eyeing it as a career?
hmm
What would you say to those young or young dancers?
I would honestly just say like the same thing I feel like my grandma has told me my whole life. Like, just keep doing what you love. Um, if it brings you joy, like, is talking about dance, right?
Yes.
If dancing brings you joy, you keep doing it. There's gonna be people out there that tell you like it's not a real sport, or that you need to come up with a plan B, or that you should focus on something a little bit more serious. But like, I knew from a young age that dancing made me happy and that it brought me joy. And I think that this life is so short and life gets so serious the older we get, that hang on to that,
Yeah.
how wherever you want to take it. Recreationally, competitively, professionally, like, it just, if it's bringing you joy, you keep doing it. And
Yeah.
always, like, don't ever let your self-limiting beliefs or the limiting beliefs of others affect your progress. Like, you keep going, like, you don't listen to that, you don't listen to yourself, and like, you can do hard things. You'll be surprised at um like, all the things that you're capable of. That's what I'd
Savannah,
say.
yes, I love it so much. Thank you
Yes.
for coming to Build
Thank you for
Crew.
having me, Built Crew. Thank
Yes,
you. This
of
was so
course.
fun.
Yes, this conversation I think is going to be so important for people whose, work kind of straddles the line between art
Oh
and
yeah.
passion, and people who just struggle with understanding their body from a day to day and wanting to be
Definitely.
powerful.
Absolutely.
For people who want to keep up with you and
Yeah.
see what you're building next, where can they follow you? Where can they find
Yes.
you?
You can follow me on Instagram, and it's at Say Savannah, SaySavannah. And then my TikTok is the same, at Say Savannah, but with two H's at the end. And that's pretty much it for social media.
Period. And
Yeah.
thank you for joining Build Crew. I'm Kobe, and this is a talk about building today, confidence, and the life to take up space. If this conversation spoke to you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And we'll catch up next time.
Bye.